You're listening to the Armchair Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Armchair Cricket Podcast, a podcast focusing on Test cricket by armchair critics of the game. In this episode, we continue our World Cup digest where we cover latest matches and news. Today, we'll be talking about match number 7 that was played at Cardiff, Sophia Gardens, between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. Let me welcome my co host Ajit. Hi, Ajit. How are you doing, man?
Hi, Giri. I'm doing good.
Are you happy with the amount of cricket that we are having right now?
I'm not yet overwhelmed, but it might happen in the next week or
Uh-huh.
so.
Uh-huh.
For now, I'm happy, and I'm happy to follow what's going on. Well, tomorrow we have 2 matches, so it remains to
Yeah.
be seen, right?
So, some tough matches, right, in the last couple of days?
Indeed.
Closely
So
fought. Mhm.
finally, so after a couple of one-sided matches, so to say, to begin the tournament, we've now had some really good matches. So yesterday we had the match also with England and Pakistan duking it out, But especially if we were to talk about Sri Lanka Afghanistan match, we had another thriller. If yesterday's England Pakistan match was a high-scoring thriller, this is a low-scoring one, right? But as guerrilla cricket commentators mentioned, a thriller is a thriller. But let's see. In this match, Afghanistan won the toss and elected to field first, right? So as a result, Sri Lanka started okay because Karunaratne and Pereira provided a fantastic start as they took Sri Lanka to 92 for no loss in 13 overs. But then the first guy to fall was Karunaratne, the skipper for 30, who was dismissed by Nabi. And then Thirimanne kept Pereira company. And this move to promote Pereira to open seemed to have come off because he together they took the score to 144 for 1, right? Again, just in the 22nd over. But then a slide started when Nabi took 3 wickets in the same over, right, where he dismissed Thirimanne and then dismissed both Matthews and Mendes. As a result, suddenly Sri Lanka slipped to 4 for 146. But then this worsened, it became 5 for 149 when Dhananjaya De Silva was also dismissed. And Thisara Pereira added 10 more runs, but it became 6 for 159 when he was also out cheaply. This slide kept going on where, Sri Lanka slipped from 1 for 144 to 8 for 180 all the way when Pereira himself, right, Kusal Pereira, having made a very well judged 78, was out. At this juncture, there was a rain break. So at 182 for 8, Sri Lanka had a little bit of a respite because of rain. But then because of the rain, the match got shortened to 41 overs aside. So when they came back, they couldn't make much of it because, Malinga scored a couple of lusty blows and then Lagamal also hit a few. But they could take the score only as far as 201. That meant they couldn't last out the 41 overs. And of course, they, gave Afghanistan a slightly below par target of 187. But then what we cannot forget is this was a very green pitch and maybe it could be a challenging score, right? If you were to look at the bowling from Afghanistan, Dawla Zadran took 2 for 34. Hamid Hassan was a bit costly initially. He took 1 for 53. But then undoubtedly the star of the show was Mohammad Nabi, who took, as I said, 3 wickets in an over. But then he also again took another wicket separately. He dismissed the skipper, right, Karunaratne, and he had 4 for 30. And Rashid Khan was his usual self. He took 2 for 17. So coming into bat, Afghanistan looked the favorites. So Mohammad Shahzad and Hazratullah Zazai started off a bit strongly, it might be said. But, they had reached 1 for 34 already by the time Shahzad was dismissed. He had just made 7, but Zazai was going strong. But then Rahmat Shah was dismissed at 2 for 42, and then Zazai followed immediately. Right. So this was, they were chasing a revised target of 187 because of the Duckworth-Lewis turn method. Their target reduced after the rain break. So they were sort of easily favorites. Even now, all they needed was a stabilizing partnership, but they continuously kept losing wickets. So the middle order of Afghanistan couldn't do much. Hashmatullah Shahidi made 4. Nabi made 11, and then Gulbuddin Naib and Najibullah Zadran again sort of played the savior's role. Naib was looking a bit iffy, but he scored 23. And then Najibullah Zadran stayed and he made a well-made 43, but nobody in the tail could really support him. And they were 152 all out. So this meant Sri Lanka won the game by 34 runs by DLS, right? So if you look at the bowling figures, Malinga bowled a couple of very good Yorkers and he took 3 for 39. Lakmal looked a little off color given the conditions, but still he was effective in as much that he didn't leak too much runs. So he gave away only 27 runs of his 6 overs. Udana took one for 28. He took a very important wicket as well, Udana, right? He dismissed Rahmat Shah. And then the star of the show, as far as bowling was concerned, was one Pradeep, who took 4 for 31, very much almost Nabi-esque, let's say. And then Pereira took one for 19 as well. Overall, it was a fantastic bowling performance from Sri Lanka. And in spite of a very strong start, 30, 40 runs being scored in a matter of 3 overs, 4 overs, they really did not lose heart and they kept attacking. So a lot of kudos to them. So Giri, some nice points you probably have to remind us.
Well, I couldn't catch the majority of the game, but I think I watched Sri Lankan death bowling. Well, not death bowling, but towards the latter part of the innings, Afghanistani batting. So Afghanistan had that middle order collapse, like you talked about, but Sri Lanka were also a bit sloppy on the field. I remember Kusal Mendis dropping a catch in deep square leg. It must have been of Najibullah Zadran. He tried to pull it and he was just popped up in the air. He dropped it. So they were also a bit sloppy. I think there was some errors on either side anyway. But the stabilizing partnership, or at least these two guys, Gulbuddin Naib and Najibullah Zadran, tried to add some stability in the lower middle order. And they were having a nice partnership. I think they must have been approximately about, let's say, 65, 70 runs. And they were trying to steady the ship, and they had almost achieved it. I think the score was 121 runs. Must have been the 25th over. So they were just under 5 runs an over in terms of run rate. And the required run rate was well within the reach. And then Nuwan Pradeep came out to bowl. He bowled a couple of wides, if I remember. He was not in control. I think he even tried to bowl a bouncer, which Kusal Pereira was not able to catch. So it went for 4 wides. It was over the head height.
Right.
So he was looking out of sorts to start with. But then he produced a beauty. He produced a beautiful in-swinger. And Gulbuddin Naib was trapped in front. It looked like it was probably missing leg stump. It was a close call. The umpire gave it out on field, and Gulbuddin Naib reviewed it. And indeed, it was an umpire's call on the stumps, on hitting the stumps. I think it was just glancing the leg stump, which I think this turned out to be the crucial moment in the match. Afghanistan could have, chased it down had these guys continued for another maybe 10 overs. I think if they had been there until 32, 33 overs, the match would have been theirs to be taken. But because of this crucial blow that Pradeep landed, he got in. I think the next batsman who came out to bat was Rashid Khan, who was again bowled by a beautiful in-swinger. Just the top of off-stump bail. That's an ideal fast bowler's delivery, right? You always, as a fast bowler, you try to hit the top of off-stump. And this was one of those deliveries. And Rashid Khan is a hitter, so he was not a good defensive player anyway. So there was a big gap. He left it through. He left it and the ball hit the stumps. And then it was basically a matter of survival. And Najibullah Zadran tried to rotate strike with tailenders. He refused singles on some occasions. He managed to keep things afloat until the end. But I think even he got run out. He hit the ball straight to Dimut Karunaratne at mid-off, short mid-off. He hit it too well, in fact. So it went straight to Karunaratne. Karunaratne took a couple of nice strides towards the bowler stumps and then aimed at them, hit the stumps. And Zadran was well short. Right. So this, I think, in the end, Afghanistan, they fought well, but it was not enough in the end. Another interesting aspect you need to look at in this match is the amount of extras that both the teams conceded. So if you look at Afghanistan, they conceded 35 extras, out of which 3 no balls and 22 wides. Right, so an amazing number of extras, 35 extras on Afghani bowling side. And while Sri Lanka came out to bowl, they also gave away 17 extras, out of which 1 no ball and 15 wides. Right. So the extras also top scored in a way for Sri Lanka there. I think it was one of the crucial factors there in them achieving 201 runs as opposed to this. So Afghanistan have lost 2 in a row now. Sri Lanka have come back from the abyss that they had dug themselves into. So looks like Sri Lanka are picking up. Interesting what will happen in their next match.
Indeed. Well, I mean, this is the second Asian team, just very much like Pakistan to again come back. Well, a win is a win, right? Whether it's against Afghanistan or doesn't matter who, but they're back and the confidence is back. There were plenty of chinks in their armor nonetheless because of the way the middle order again completely underperformed. And if you look at the mode of dismissals, I think Angelo Matthews and Kusal Mendis got out in a very similar manner. And I think Thirumanna was again dismissed bolt through the gate and such. So anyway, so if you look at all that, they have a bunch to look forward to and fix because that slide or that collapse was very bad. And from a position where they look to be scoring 350 plus to come all the way down to half that. So that is something they'll want to address for sure. It's, I think, more than a mental frailty. It might even be a technical thing. And I think Angelo Matthews 5, he looks okay. A bunch of positives they can anyway take away. The bowling was definitely a positive, right? And we were a bit worried if they had stacked their fast bowlers too much or one fast bowler too many, but that's the fast bowler that won them the game. No one
Exactly. I think it was a terrific inclusion in the end. Hindsight.
And I thought they gelled really well under Dimut Karnaratne. I think he was leading from the front also in the field. It looked good, right?
Yeah.
He might be the guy to take them forward in the future. So it might not have been a very, let's say, a hasty decision from SLC. Let's see how that goes. So for tomorrow, you have, two interesting matches. One is South Africa versus India, and it's very crucial for South Africa. But unfortunately, it's just come to us that, Steyn has been ruled out of the Cricket World Cup because of the injury he suffered during IPL. And then Beuren Hendricks will replace him. And Amla has been declared fit. So there's some good news, but it's mixed news, right? Steyn is out. So it's a big impact for South Africa.
Yeah.
It's his experience will be missed, if not his venom and his pace, right? Also, the second match tomorrow, this is played at the Oval, where Bangladesh will take on New Zealand. This is a day-night game. And I think, they know each other pretty well, having Bangladesh toured New Zealand recently earlier this year. So it'll be a very tight contest again. And the way Bangladesh beat South Africa convincingly, I think New Zealand will do really well to not take them lightly. And again, gone are those days where, somebody would take Bangladesh lightly. So it's going to be a really good contest. It's very tough to pick, but given the depth of their bowling resources, right, I would back New Zealand to come out a winner here. For the India-South Africa match, Kiri, do you think South Africa will beat India, or will India get off to a winning start?
South Africa have a depleted bowling side setup, as well as the batsmen are not firing.
Right.
We might well have Amla and Faf and all these guys firing in this match, but I have to say India are favorites to win this match.
Right.
So let's see.
All right. Now, if you were to go with the trivia question, the previous episode's trivia question was, which World Cup tournament had its first 100 scored of its 15th match? That's the latest in the tournament. So we have our friend of the show, Yogesh, writing in again with the right answer. So the right answer was the 1999 World Cup, where, he's written a nice also story around it, because Tendulkar had missed the Zimbabwe match to attend his father's funeral, right? When he came back, this was the 15th match against Kenya.
Yeah.
He scored
140. Yeah. And he didn't celebrate. I remember his celebration. There was lack of it. It was he didn't. I think he was not in the right frame of mind. He was emotionally very strained, and you could see that. Surprisingly enough, there was another centurion in that match, Rahul Dravid.
Indeed.
So people kind of forget that he was also there, but Tendulkar reached his 100 earlier than Rahul Dravid did. So this is the right answer.
All right. And the second thing that Rahul Dravid kept for the first time, apparently, in 1999 already, when Mongia was injured. So he kept for 41 overs of the Kenyan innings. So this was sort of another start of an all-round role for Rahul Dravid that we saw him do later, right?
Yeah,
all right. The trivia question is that we saw that Nabi took 3 wickets in an over against Sri Lanka. So the question is, when was the last time an off-spinner was able to take 3 wickets in an over in a World Cup game? So again, you'll have to go a bit back. It might not be one of the previous instances of the World Cup, but that's the clue I can give you. All right. You can get in touch with us for the answers on social media, for example, at armchair.cricket or via our Facebook page. You can write into us at armchair.cricket@gmail.com with your answers or your comments. Thanks a lot for people who are listening in and writing in regularly. And, it always encourages us. Leave us a 5-star rating on whichever platform you listen to us on. And if possible, also, subscribe to our podcast. It really helps us when we see that this interest is there in the podcast. We have plenty to look forward to, a double header for tomorrow. So a lot to discuss in the upcoming episodes. All right. Having said all that, a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from him. Bye-bye.
You're listening to the Armchair Cricket Podcast.